everybody. So welcome to the vlog. I thought I would vlog today specifically because I have several mental health appointments today. And while I'm obviously not going to break HIPAA on myself and air my therapy session or my appointment with my psychiatrist, I just thought it could be helpful when showing the daily life of someone who's autistic, ADHD, and has, other mental illnesses and neurodivergencies going on, might be helpful to show all of the meetings that are involved in that because there tend to be quite a few. As you saw this morning, we made an early morning coffee run, me and my son. I got up early, he got up early. I was like, you wanna go get coffee and I'll get you an apple juice? And he was like, yeah. And so we left my husband and the twins here. They were all sleeping, everybody was fine. And we were like, let's go get coffee and apple juice. And so we went, we had such a good time. I mean, we just went through the drive-thru and came back, and he didn't even want his apple juice when he got home. He's like, I'll have it after daycare. And I was like, that's fine with me, kid. So I have my coffee, and I would say, therapy starts in 20 minutes. That means I should probably start prepping for my therapy appointment. But to be honest, I don't prep for therapy. I think it would probably be helpful. And I think people who do prep for therapy probably get more out of it, even though I get a ton out of therapy and I love it. But something about my ADHD, I really struggle to do pre-work. I just want to jump into the work. And so sometimes I just have to do stuff off the cuff. But then other times, because I'm also autistic, my autism will be like, no, because you didn't pre-prepare what you were going to say, now you have no idea. And then I'm super reliant on her asking the right questions or the most helpful questions, which she usually does. I have a very good therapist, but when you don't have when your therapist is good but not great, you do kind of need to come prepared. And I've been in that situation many times, but my therapist right now is pretty great. And luckily I am able to kind of come to her off the cuff and say whatever comes to mind, and she can kind of steer me in the direction that is probably going to be most beneficial for us. But it's not just a mental health day. In addition to therapy and my psychiatrist appointment, I also have some meetings with clients and a lot of work to do on the back end of my business. And I actually get this question all the time. People are like, how do you run a business with ADHD? I could never work to arbitrary deadlines. I could never have I would never get anything done because I wouldn't have a boss breathing down my neck. And I'm like, I don't function well with people breathing down my neck. I get real resentful real quick. So I don't think a traditional 9-to-5 would work very well for me personally. I really love having the freedom to work on whatever I want to, and the consequence, it's not that there's no consequences when you run your own business, it's just that they're different. So instead of the consequence being, oh, somebody else is upset, I might lose my job, those type of consequences, the consequences are oh, I have to go tell my clients I didn't finish this on time. And that's always really embarrassing. I try not to be too embarrassed because I do have ADHD and I run a business about ADHD. And so a lot of times they get it, but I try to stick to my deadlines as closely as I can. I'm actually behind on a deadline right now. I promised some stuff would be out yesterday, hoping to get it out today. Honestly, I don't see that happening either, so it's probably gonna be tomorrow. But I'm gonna do my best. And when I say do my best, I do want to talk about this because I think there's a misunderstanding, especially amongst autistic folks, about what doing your best means. So doing your best does not mean driving yourself into the ground and working so hard that you cannot do anything the next day. That is that's not your best, I guess, to me, because it depends on how you want to define best. Capitalism would have us define best as producing the most work. But even that definition, I don't know that that is your best, because you can't do as much work the next day. And so it kind of evens out to be middle. Whereas if you could probably get more done if you did a little less than you had done when you thought you were doing your best. Is this making any sense? Basically what I'm saying is it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to take it slow. And I don't strive to be my best, most productive self every single day. Instead, I strive to be my favorite self. That's a thing I saw on Instagram a while back that I have really, really clung on to. I try to be my favorite self. What would my favorite self do today? And sometimes my favorite self is a productivity machine, but sometimes my favorite self is distracted, and that's okay. That's just part of the territory with me. So I've been yapping for a little while now, so we've only got 15 minutes till therapy. So I am gonna go ahead and grab my coffee and probably answer a couple emails before therapy starts. So quick therapy debrief. It went so well. This was kind of a last minute session because I really was not feeling well over the weekend. Pretty loud, aggressive inner monologue that was really mean to me. And just a lot of like sort of self-loathing thoughts, shaming thoughts, stuff like that, that it just wasn't going away. And I knew it would as soon as I booked a appointment, because of course, but I'm starting to see that less as like an annoying coincidence and more the result of reaching out for help. Reaching out for help makes me feel better, and therefore I should do it. Not my old monologue used to be reaching out for help makes me feel better, so I shouldn't do it because that means I'll just feel better and I don't actually need help. And now it's more like, no, you do need help. That's what's making you feel better, is reaching out for what you need. So I'm starting to reframe that in my head a little bit. But therapy went so well. I'm not going to go into everything we talked about, obviously, but we really dug into some parts work. I love that my therapist does parts work with me. If you've never heard of that, it's basically the idea that who we are is made up of lots of different parts. For most of us, those parts are cohesive, but obviously for people with dissociative identity disorder or other dissociative conditions, those parts may be a little less cohesive, or they may be cohesive just in a very different way. But so we talked about parts work, we talked about some protectors, some very misguided protectors, and some exile parts and stuff like that, which was really, really cool and helpful and really reframed my weekend for me, which was nice. We definitely talked about how summer tends to be harder for me, and I tend to have sort of backwards seasonal depression where winter is not fun. I don't love how dark it is, but I don't get nearly as like depressed, I guess, in the winter as I do in the summer. Like summer is my peak time for texting 988, which is like the crisis line, right? The mental health crisis line in America anyway. So like I probably text them 2 or 3 times every single summer for the last several years. Like this is just the way it goes for me. And due to that cyclic kind of nature, the discussion around my bipolar misdiagnosis kind of came back up, and like, is it really a misdiagnosis? Like we've kind of been operating under that assumption for a long time, but just some of the cycles I go through and stuff like that has my therapist, like, she's very candid with me. She's like, I'm not diagnosing you as bipolar. In fact, I'm fairly certain you're not, but just want to be open with you because I know diagnosis has been like an obsession for you before. I never want you wondering what I'm thinking, and like, which is so great and so helpful for me. So she was just like, just so you know, it's something I kind of have on my radar that I've been kind of looking for. So I'll probably talk about that with my psychiatrist later today. So yay. At the end of the day, it's important to recognize that while diagnosis is so important, it is like kind of an arbitrary collection of symptoms at the end of the day. Like no one handed down these diagnoses as like objective truth. They're just like the best approximations we can come to. And the best way we can categorize symptoms and traits and stuff like that. So the truth is that like when you're both autistic and ADHD and have depression and have trauma, like that can look like other things sometimes, but also sometimes other things are going on. It is possible to have autism, ADHD, depression, trauma, and bipolar. Like, so I'm trying not to get too obsessive about it because I don't see that being super helpful for me. So instead, I'm just like, that's interesting information. We're just gonna take in the information. We're gonna share it with the rest of my mental health team, but we're not gonna spend hours researching bipolar because we spent like 7 years doing that. We don't need to do that again. So yeah, that was therapy. I was supposed to have a 10 o'clock right after, but they did not show. So I am hoping all is well with them. And I reached out and everything, and hopefully we'll be able to reschedule. But that means I have a little bit of free time, which is good and bad. I don't know what to do with it because I wasn't expecting it, but I am thinking I'm gonna go ahead and film a couple of reels, possibly for Instagram. Maybe make a couple Instagram posts on Canva, and maybe do a little bit of stim singing. Singing is one of my favorite stims. It just makes me feel better. So I'll probably do a little bit of that, and that'll feel really nice. So let's do that before my next call. Hello, there are a lot of new faces around here. I just thought I would take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Megan. I am the chaotic entrepreneur. Faces around here, so I thought
You're most likely to continue to want to post on it because enjoy creating or other branding that things that we get through as many questions as they can. But that's the main thing you want to say.
All right, folks, well, it is 9 p.m. and shockingly, I stopped filming. What happens is I go to pick up my kids from daycare, and then I'm just with my kids and making dinner and doing all the things. And I don't really film that because my family doesn't want to be online the way that I enjoy being online. And anyway, so this is my attempt at an outro for the vlog. Psychiatrist appointment went super well, keeping medications the same because they do seem to be working when I actually take them, which is the idea. And yeah, so it was a really productive day, mental health wise, a really productive day for work, and I had a really good time hanging out with my kids and my husband. So yeah, I think I feel a little like stressed, but other than like low-grade stress, I feel really good today, and I hope this was like a nice little insight into my life as an autistic ADHDer, just trying to live life. So thank you so much for watching the vlog, and I'll catch you in the next one.